from the oldest Canadian team to the oldest US-based NHL franchise, the Boston Bruins. Founded in 1924, the Bruins were the first American team to join the NHL, bringing pro hockey to New England. They quickly gained a reputation for toughness, physical play, and resilience, traits that became the franchise's identity. In the early days, stars like Eddie Shore, perhaps the toughest defenseman ever, led Boston to their first cup in 1929. But the true face of the Bruins emerged in the late 60s and 70s with the arrival of Bobby Orr. Orr wasn't just good, he changed hockey forever. He could skate like a forward, score like a winger, and play defense like no one before him. His iconic flying goal in 1970, where he scored in overtime and leapt through the air, is still the most famous image in hockey. Boston's modern era has also been strong, led by names like Ray Bourque, Zdeno Chara, Patrice Bergeron, and Tuukka Rask. They've won 6 Stanley Cups and continue to represent the city's blue-collar, hard-nosed mentality. The Chicago Blackhawks, one of the NHL's most recognizable brands. Founded in 1926, the Blackhawks were named after their owner's military unit in World War I, known as the Black Hawk Division. They struggled for decades to find consistent success but still captured Stanley Cups in 1934, 1938, and 1961. Their golden era came in the 1960s, led by Bobby Hull, the Golden Jet, and Stan Mikita, a dominant playmaker. Chicago then went into one of the longest droughts in sports history, 49 years without a Stanley Cup, before roaring back in the 2000s and 10s. Led by Jonathan Toews, Patrick Kane, and Duncan Keith, the Blackhawks became a modern dynasty, winning 3 cups in 6 seasons from 2010 to 2015. Their home ice, the United Center, is legendary for its loud goal horn and deafening crowd during playoff runs. Though the team faced serious controversies off the ice in recent years, their impact on hockey history is undeniable. The Detroit Red Wings, arguably the most successful US-based NHL franchise. Founded in 1926, they were first known as the Detroit Cougars, then the Falcons, before settling on the Red Wings in 1932, symbolizing the Motor City and its auto industry. Known as the Winged Wheel, Detroit won cups in 1936, 1937, and 1943, but their dominance truly began in the post-war era. This was the team of Gordie Howe, Mr. Hockey himself, considered by many to be the greatest all-around player ever. Detroit became a dynasty in the 1950s. Then, after some lean years, they built another powerhouse in the 1990s and 2000s. With stars like Steve Yzerman, Nicklas Lidstrom, Sergei Fedorov, and Pavel Datsyuk, Detroit became known for their smooth puck movement and elite skill. They won 4 Stanley Cups from 1997 to 2008, and their fan base became famous for the octopus toss, throwing octopi onto the ice in the playoffs, symbolizing the 8 wins once required to win the cup. Today, Detroit remains a cornerstone of NHL history. Here's perhaps the most famous and most tormented team in hockey history, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto's team began in 1917 as the Toronto Arenas, then became the St. Patrick's before finally adopting the Maple Leafs name in 1927. Under the ownership of Conn Smythe, the Leafs became a powerhouse. They won their first Stanley Cup in 1932 and would capture 13 cups in total, second only to Montreal. Toronto dominated the 40s and 60s thanks to stars like Syl Apps, Ted Kennedy, Dave Keon, and goaltender Johnny Bower. The Leafs' last championship came in 1967, the final season before the NHL expanded beyond the original 6. Since then, they've suffered through decades of playoff heartbreak. Despite their struggles, the Leafs boast one of the NHL's largest, most passionate fan bases worldwide, known for selling out every game at Scotiabank Arena. Today's team is led by young stars like Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, as they chase the end of hockey's most famous drought. Love them or hate them, the Leafs are woven into the very fabric of hockey. The story of the NHL starts here, with the Montreal Canadiens. Founded in 1909, the Canadiens predate the NHL itself by nearly a decade. They were originally created to represent French-speaking Canadians in the National Hockey Association. They became a charter member of the NHL when it formed in 1917. Their nickname, Les Habitants, or the Habs, refers to the settlers of New France, symbolizing the deep cultural connection between the team and French-Canadian identity. Their success is unmatched. 24 Stanley Cup championships, more than any other NHL franchise by far. Some of the biggest names in hockey history wore the Canadian sweater. Maurice "Rocket" Richard, the first player to score 50 goals in 50 games. Jean Béliveau, known for his grace, leadership, and 10 cups as a player. Guy Lafleur, whose flowing locks and electric skating defined the 70s dynasty. Patrick Roy, the goalie who redefined the position in the late 80s and early 90s. Montreal's fierce rivalries, especially with the Toronto Maple Leafs and Boston Bruins, are the stuff of hockey legend. Their home, the Bell Center, remains the largest arena in the NHL, and no fan base takes hockey more seriously than Habs fans. The New York Rangers were born in the heart of Manhattan in 1926, earning the nickname the Broadway Blue Shirts. They became the NHL's first true big market team, and quickly made headlines by winning the Stanley Cup in 1928, just 2 years after joining the league. The Rangers won again in 1933 and 1940, but then entered a 54-year championship drought, one of the longest in sports. Despite the dry spell, the Rangers developed a loyal fan base at Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. Finally, in 1994, led by captain Mark Messier, the Rangers ended their curse, lifting the cup in one of the most dramatic playoff runs ever. Messier's guarantee in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals, where he promised a victory and delivered with a hat trick, is now hockey folklore. In more recent decades, stars like Henrik Lundqvist helped keep the Rangers competitive. Though they haven't won another cup since 1994, the Rangers remain one of hockey's most valuable and iconic franchises. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more hockey content.